Let me ask you something. Dan T, you think that in the last few weeks the roar of the libertarian lion has sounded quieter than ever? Javier Milei, the president who usually devours cameras, studios, and microphones, seems a bit absent, as if something has thrown him off balance. And honestly, it's not without reason. Just a few days ago, an audio leak set off all the alarms. I'm sure many of you have already heard it since it spread like wildfire through social media, news outlets, and newspapers. In these recordings, a former official of Milei's own government, Diego Espinhuelo, makes an accusation as direct as it is devastating. He says there's corruption inside the Casa Rosada, and not just any corruption. Javier, you know they're stealing. You know your sister is stealing and you can't play dumb with me. The audio doesn't point to low-level staffers. It goes straight to the core of La Libertad Avanza. It names the Undersecretary of Institutional Management, Eduardo Menem, and someone even more powerful, Karina Milei herself. Yes, the president's sister, his right hand, the true political architect of US. Nobody knows who recorded the audio or why it was leaked. But one thing is clear. This could be the most serious scandal Milei has faced since taking office. And this isn't like the meme coin Libra affair, which, let's remember, fizzled out by June. The Argentine courts had shelved the case, and there were no formal accusations in the US. This feels different. Offices in Argentina are being raided over alleged bribes that implicate Milei's sister. What the former insider describes goes far beyond a shady financial promotion or a reckless tweet. This is about an alleged full-scale corruption scheme envelopes, kickbacks, and the diversion of public funds. A classic setup, but supposedly under the banner of ending the political caste. And of course, if it turns out to be true, or even if the opposition simply succeeds in convincing the public that Milei's government is tainted by corruption, then the president has a very serious problem. How could he keep claiming to be different from the corrupt Kirchnerist caste? The political damage could be enormous. In fact, recent polls show Milei's disapproval climbing past 50%, an unprecedented scenario for him. For now, the Casa Rosada has denounced the spread of these audios and convinced a federal judge to order their distribution stopped. But the damage is done. Doubts now hang over the libertarian government, and Milei finds himself caught between a rock and a hard place. To make matters worse, this comes at the worst possible time, just days before the September 7th provincial elections in Buenos Aires, in less than 2 months before the October national midterms. Almost every poll already predicted a Kirchnerist win under Axel Kicillof in Buenos Aires, even before the scandal. The province, the historic stronghold of Peronism, remains hostile territory for libertarians. Still, these elections were meant to be a show of force for La Libertad Avanza, a way to prove they weren't just a passing fad. If they had managed to win Buenos Aires, home to 17 million people, nearly 40% of Argentina's population, it would have been a perfect springboard for October. Now, after the leaks, many think Milei's party will go into the elections seriously weakened. Yet some analysts believe the scandal might not hurt the government much at all. Argentina has often shown that corruption scandals don't necessarily cost votes. Think back to the meme coin Libra case. Despite the uproar and Milei himself admitting it was a mistake, La Libertad Avanza still won legislative elections in Buenos Aires City. In other words, here in Argentina, anything can happen. So what's really behind this alleged corruption plot? Could it actually hurt Milei at the polls? Or is there something else? Something we're not seeing that could truly sink the libertarian lions? To understand this story, we need to go back to Wednesday, August 20th. That day, rumors began circulating in the Casa Rosada that made even the president himself nervous. Shortly after the bomb went off, compromising audios were leaked. And not just any audios. The voice was unmistakably that of David Espinhuelo, Milei's close friend, lawyer, and until recently, head of the National Disability Agency, ANDIS. What did he say? Essentially the unthinkable? That there was corruption inside the libertarian government. The top officials were involved in shady dealings. And that one of them was none other than Karina Milei. He even claimed to have told this directly to the president. According to Espinhuelo, the scheme operated through ANDIS itself, where public contracts carried a built-in 3% kickback, allegedly for Karina Milei. In exchange for these bribes, the Cabalikier family, owners of Swiss-Argentine pharmaceutical distributor, supposedly received hefty benefits. The Cabalikiers aren't just any family. They've built a pharmaceutical empire with companies like Logan Pharma, Leva Pharma, RS Eventos, and even a luxury car dealership. The crown jewel is Swiss Argentina, the company now at the center of the storm, which allegedly pocketed millions in government contracts through Karina Milei's mediation. The numbers raise eyebrows. Their contracts with the state skyrocketed from 3.9 billion pesos to 108 billion under Milei's government. Part of this was due to changes in the bidding model, but still the concentration of contracts in their hands fueled suspicions of favoritism. We're talking about money meant for disability care and treatment. If true, it would be one of the most shameful scandals in recent political history into profiteering from pandemic medical supplies. Naturally, the government has flatly denied everything. Milei has announced he'll sue his former friend for defamation. Meanwhile, Judge Casanello has already ordered raids, seizing documents, cell phones, and even $266,000 in cash from Emmanuel Cabalikier. Chief of Staff Guillermo Francos insists this is nothing but a political operation, orchestrated by the opposition right before the elections. And while that's possible, there's no clear proof that Kirchnerism was behind the recording or leak. Adding fuel to the fire? Just a week after the first leak, another batch of audios surfaced, this time with Karina Milei's own voice. These were older and less damaging, focused on political strategy rather than corruption. Still, the government reacted even more aggressively, claiming the leaks endangered national security and raising suspicions of a mole within the presidential circle. But what really matters in the public's eyes is the alleged Andes corruption plot. Polls show 62% of Argentines believe the audios reveal serious wrongdoing, while only 38% Milei's hardcore base see it as mere dirty politics. So far, no poll has measured the scandal's real impact on upcoming elections. But analysts agree, in Argentina, corruption doesn't always translate into electoral punishment. And here's the twist: Milei's real problem may not even be the scandal. His approval ratings were already slipping before the leaks. In early August, they had fallen from 48% to 44%, with a continued downward trend. Why? Because while the government boasts about its macroeconomic achievements, ending fiscal deficits, lowering poverty, reducing inflation, and achieving growth, a reality for ordinary Argentines is still harsh. Yes, inflation has dropped from 117% to around 30% in a year. The economy is growing nearly 6%, and risk ratings are improving. But wages remain stagnant, basic food consumption keeps falling, over 7,500 businesses have closed, and nearly 100,000 private jobs have been lost since Milei took office. In short, while the macro miracle is real, it hasn't reached the kitchen table. Families still feel the pinch. And in an election year, economic pain can be just as damaging as any corruption scandal, it's not more. So the question remains, will this alleged corruption case cost Milei in the September 7th provincial elections and the October midterms? Can he still claim to be the anti-corruption outsider if the narrative is slipping away? Only time will tell.